Hello, my name is Jared, aka That Guy Health. I am in AMBF Men's Physique. I plan on competing my first show this coming up October, and October is such a special month for me for many reasons. It is support in breast cancer. It is also the month where we support those who have been belittled by domestic violence. It's my first show, and that is the reason why I'm carrying so much weight as far as being successful within this month at this show. It also marks days out from the anniversary for when my sister was taken from our family due to domestic violence. So let's get into it. I think it's very important that people understand the weight and the severity of breast cancer awareness. Women who have survived, women who have fallen to not only breast cancer, but domestic violence. And the scope is not only limited to women. I do know, and the world should know, that men, children also undergo domestic violence, whether it's mentally or physically. It's something that I definitely myself don't stand for. It's something that we should not stand for as a society, and we definitely need to do better. And not only reporting it, but standing up against it. I think it's too many times we see bystanders just letting it go by. I know there's so many things that you have to think about before getting involved in somebody's life, but to what point do we sit by and watch somebody get completely mauled or even murdered? So being raised in a fatherless home initially, thank God that he provided me with a father. Not all fathers are your birth fathers, and I'm very thankful for that. But in the beginning of my childhood, women were heavily involved in my life. My grandmother, for one, definitely. She's top notch in my life. She's raised me. She's taught me a lot of things, and I learned a lot of things by watching her. And one of those things is strength and the endurance and the motivation to push through some of the hardest situations in life. And I don't think when it comes to a woman, there are certain things that can happen in a woman's life that are definitely just beyond challenging for any of us as far as men to understand that. And one of those challenges is breast cancer. My grandmother is a survivor, thank God, of breast cancer. She lost her breast due to that, but she did survive the operation and the process. And just seeing that, I can tell you that what I do remember from being a young one, that is something that is very hard for a woman to deal with, especially being a married woman, which my grandfather passed, and they settled out their vows that way till death do them part. May God rest his soul. But for a woman to lose her breast puts her in a situation where maybe she might not even herself define herself as a woman. I mean, those are attributes, not only mentally, but physically, that women grow up trying to have and wear badges of honor. But, she's definitely a woman strong mentally, spiritually, but it was just a very hard transition for her, and she did it. And among doing that, she did it raising us. She had to raise her grandkids. She had already raised her kids, and it's something that I will never forget. I will be indebted to her forever. That's why when I go down there and I take trips, I'm like, whatever she wants done, I'm going to do it. She has a checklist. I'm going to be out there working. So even when I go on vacation there, I'm probably up to 6 in the morning getting ready to do whatever kind of to-do list she has. I'm very thankful. If it had not been for her being part of my life, I might not be in the situation I am now, being a positive male model for my kids, treating my wife the way I do as the queen she is, and understanding certain things that may happen to a woman, and understanding from a man's point how to take a different perspective. I owe my grandmother a lot of credit for that, and my mother and my auntie. So breast cancer is serious, and that is exactly why this campaign for me, although in the month of October is my first show, it's going to be an emotional situation for me, because these are events that are very important to me, having so much personal contact with actual people that I love going through them. So it means a lot to me to go here and be successful, to hit that stage and just basically represent not only breast cancer awareness, but domestic violence and other things that are going on in my life that we're also going to get into. So I just hope that people can understand I hope that people don't forget in this month, as you compete, as you go on to do all types of things, that it is also a month that we need to pay tribute. And you know what? It needs to go outside of this month. It doesn't just need to stay in the month of October. We need to respect, encourage, promote, support, do all types of things that might help aid in not only mental recovery, but physical recovery for those undergoing breast cancer. So I'm very supportive of that. And that's a reason why I'm going to launch something that is going to come up and I will announce as we get further into this interview. So another aspect of my life is my sister and domestic violence, but also my auntie. Growing up, I think my first encounter of really being impacted by a home run hit of domestic violence was with my auntie. And I was in elementary school at the time. And like I said, my grandmother was largely responsible for, not only maybe getting us to school, but definitely our after school care, homework, as my mother was off working. So I spent a lot of my time with my grandmother, from the garden to everything else. And my auntie was there as well. And I remember coming home from elementary school, and I walked through the door and I put my backpack down. And as I looked over on the couch, I saw my auntie laying on the couch, and her face was badly bruised. And come to find out, she had her encounter with domestic violence with her current husband at the time, and he had hit her. And I just remember seeing her face and it was like the life had been sucked out of her. It's just like a situation like that happens to a woman where she feels that she is with somebody that she should be totally safe with, be able to be herself with, and never have to worry about being injured. And I think I saw that more on her face as a child than even the bruises that were there. I could just see that she had been totally destroyed mentally and emotionally, and it really impacted me. And seeing that, I think, really put a stake in my life. Like, technically, I get goosebumps thinking about it right now, even as we speak. The impact that it made in my life as a young man, as a boy at that time, and I carried over to being a young man, is that I never ever want to put any woman in my life in that type of mind frame. Along with any type of physical situation where she has been bruised and battered. It just really made me feel uncomfortable. And from that point, as a child, I vowed that I would never lay my hands on a woman in that form or fashion. And I've had my fair share of incidences. When I say fair share, one is too many to me. And I've had an incident where, you grow up and you go through adolescence and maturity, and you get with girls. And sometimes girls don't know how to relay their emotions depending on their upbringing. And I had a situation where one of my girlfriends went and she swung at me. And even in that situation, I remembered I was never going to put my hands on a woman. There wasn't any reason to. And I did what I had to. I ducked and I got her off of me, definitely. And I escaped. I ran away. And some people might look at that and say, man, that's a punk move. But honestly, what good does it serve? I know the situation. I know the ground that I hold. It's not worth it. It was more important for me to just flee than ever think about the fact that I am one of these men out here that put his hands on a woman and did that type of situation. I just mentally could not go through that, and I mentally could not jail myself to put me mentally in a situation where I felt like I was no better than my auntie's husband, who had did what he did to her. And I'm very thankful that now she's still in my life. She learned, she strayed away from those type of personality types. We just came down from seeing her and visiting, and she keeps up with the kids and myself. And I just love her for being an example of a woman who escape that type of situation. And so, as I said, I've had my experiences personally with my grandmother being a survivor of breast cancer, my auntie being a survivor of domestic violence, but unfortunately my family has also suffered the price of one of us not making it due to domestic violence. And what I can say is, back in October, around 2010, my sister went missing. My brother and I were heavily on the phone trying to find out where she was, as the rest of the family was, trying to check her Facebook, checking anything that may have been left behind, calling her job. Her job had not seen her. The last thing we knew is she was going through a breakup with her husband that was her husband for a very short time. And she had went over to get her things, come to find out, and that was the last time that anybody remembered seeing her. And then we saw a post on her Facebook that she had went to a casino basically to get away, and she didn't want to be bothered, which was very odd for us with Kizzy. She wasn't that type. Everybody loved her. She had a great personality, and she did a lot for me as a younger child, going through my own type of situations that are not as important as what we're talking about now. So we just knew that was very uncharacteristic of her to do that, and my brother called me and I told him that, whatever you find out, let's just go down wherever we got to go and search for her together. And come to find out that through calling several police agencies and them doing certain searches and calls, a undiscovered body of a woman had been found in Mississippi. And at the time we did not know if it was her or not, but we were just, at this point in time, I mean, what else we were supposed to think? Several days had passed. Nobody had heard from her. The casino had verified that she wasn't there. It was just, it was a very rough, emotional time. But my brother called. He said that there was a body down there, an unidentified woman's body. He was going to go down. I told him I wanted to go with him, pick me up so we can go. But unfortunately, one of the detectives called my brother back and said that it was no reason for him to come down. He wasn't sure. He would call him back and let him know. Little did we know the reason why my brother was told not to come down is that the body that they had found was beyond recognition, that even if we came there and saw this body, the chances of us recognizing the body of our sister or any other woman was like zero chances. And the reason for that was because the body was so badly burned. Come to find out, they were able to salvage a partial fingerprint, and when they ran the fingerprint, we found out that it was our sister, that she had not only been murdered, but she had been burned on the side of the road, and that's what happened. That's was a very, very rough time for all of us, very rough time for anybody to go that way. You hold a memorial service and we didn't even have a body for the memorial service. The body was so badly damaged. It was a horrible situation. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, as I know it has happened to plenty. And that's why it is so important for me to say this as a man to women, because I have 3 daughters and a wife. Do not stay in a situation that jeopardizes your life. You have several other people that love you and adore the fact that you are around. Do not give it up for what you think is love and it isn't. And for somebody to do something to you like that is not love. I don't care what type of mental or psychological situation they're going on and trying to explain it, oh, my upbringing. It doesn't matter. Don't subject yourself to that, because in the end, you never know what's going to happen. There's been so many people that have been put in the ground due to domestic violence, and I'm just sick of it. And I know that when that happened to my sister, it made another milestone in my life that I just could not tolerate it anymore. And God forgive me if anything were to happen to my daughters or my wife, for that matter. It's just somewhere I'm not willing to accept. And that's why during my show and my competition, because it's in the month of October and because all of that happens, my sister's life was taken in October. My grandmother survived breast cancer. My auntie survived domestic violence. And not only my auntie, but my mother herself survived domestic violence. So I've had several women in my family that raised me that have went through these situations, and me being around it changed and molded me, I believe, for a better man. During my show, I will be wearing a specialized shirt that I have designed in respect and in tribute for women that have survived and the women that have fallen to not only breast cancer, but domestic violence. And I'm going to wear it in success and celebrating that there should be no muscle on any competitive bodybuilding stage that is used ever to suppress or beat anybody, including women. All right, so that's the shirt I'm gonna wear. It's purple and pink, in representation of the purple and pink ribbon. The ribbon will be on the left side, and I will have the tribute statement on the back side. And that's what I'm gonna wear on the month of October, October 6th. I am 2 weeks out, and I just want to pay tribute to everybody and the women that have went through these horrific situations, the women that have went through these situations and came out with a smile on their face to steadily look life in the eyes and say, you're not gonna beat me. But it's a very emotional time. I probably can't even get it all out right now, just going through that. It's something that just doesn't work well with me. I hope that you all follow the story. I hope that you all take my advice. I hope that women and men and children out there understand to get out of these situations. I hope that people understand how to support anybody that's going through a cancerous situation. It is no easy process. And I will do little things here and there and whatever I can to show support, show acknowledgement, show awareness of cancer and domestic violence. And I'm going to wear that shirt. I'm going pro pink and purple to represent that the day of the show and after the show, no matter what we place. All right. So I hope you guys follow. Once again, I'm Jarek, aka That Guy Health, AMBF Men's Physique. And I just want to say, like I always say, let's build together and peace.